like I wouldn't even be wanting to have sex with somebody like or with like my boyfriend at the time. But I just did it because, that was my man and I just felt like I had to. But at the end of the day, it would make me feel like hey guys, I hope everybody is doing really well. I'm doing well. I hope everybody is blessed in this lifetime just as much as I am. And I am blessed in this lifetime. So today I wanted to talk about saying no. Okay. Now, I feel like everybody has had a problem with saying no. Um, at least once in their lifetime or even a period in their lifetime. But me, I used to be somebody who were afraid to upset somebody. I used to be one of those people who were afraid to break up with somebody. I used to be one of them people who used to even have sex with people just because I didn't want to say no or say I didn't want to, but that was like early in my 20s. Now, don't play with me. I will tell you no in a heartbeat. And it took me a while to get to this point to say no. I used to struggle also within like my job. Like people would be like, oh, can you do this for me? And I was like, sure, but really I was like over my head with like paperwork and calling people back and doing stuff. But I would be like, oh, sure, just because I didn't want to say no. And the hard thing is that you just have to say no and let people be upset with you if they are upset with you. But 9 times out of 10, they don't even be upset. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't have to explain why you said no, and what I think it's called like a people pleaser. But I wouldn't say that I was that. I just didn't want to say no. You know what I mean? But it wasn't because I wanted to please you. It was just because like I think I was afraid of the reaction, or being seen as like being rude or being like a B word, because I'm just not that, you know what I mean? And I feel like I could care less how other people view me right now in my life, This is my life. And I said that in a previous video. This is my life. You're not about to dictate me or make me do anything that I don't want to do in my life. And I realized how many people who are my age who still are afraid to say no. You know what I mean? In a way you can tell, like, if somebody, how you know that somebody is afraid to tell you no, is if, like, you just see them doing, like, wild and out things that you would never really do or that disrespects themselves, like, if they're disrespecting themselves, that's basically how you can tell that they're afraid to say no. Because everybody has that small little voice in the back of their head that's like, don't do it. Don't do it. But we do it anyway, just because we're afraid of how somebody else will act, or just because we can't say no, But it's just like, F that. F that mentality. You know what I'm saying? Stand up. You have to live with yourself at the end of the day. You go home and you hear your own thoughts. You go home and feel your own feelings. You go home and feel your own depression, not anybody else. So don't be afraid to do what's best for you. Okay? Now, there was a point in time where I would I wouldn't even be wanting to have sex with somebody like or with like my boyfriend at the time. But I just did it because, that was my man and I just felt like I had to. But at the end of the day, it would make me feel like, I don't know, not good, Like, it would cause me to have like self-criticism. It would cause me to feel like depressed inside, or like just kind of like dark inside. You know what I mean? Because I don't care if you don't think that sex is a big deal, but for me, I think it's a big deal. I feel like your body is a temple, you're a goddess, and you have to think of yourself as that. And as I said here, I just turned 31 3 days ago. As I sit here as a 31-year-old, I just think I'm a diamond, a goddess. And you don't have to think that about me, But I have to think that about me because I have to lay down with myself at nighttime. I have to hear my own thoughts. And that was what matters the most to me. Always put yourself first. Don't ever be afraid to tell somebody how you feel. Don't ever be afraid to put yourself first. Okay? Especially when it comes to these men. I was about to say something else. But these men, make sure you tell them how you feel. And you just can't. If my husband came to me right damn now and told me he wanted a divorce, I'd say, your wish is my command. Why? Because I'm not willing to let nothing stress me out or let anything hurt me. And if someone wants to leave, it's not for me. If somebody wants to leave or do something that I'm not aligned with, it's not for me, and I'm okay with that. Like, you just have to get to a state where you're just okay with whatever happens. You know what I mean? Because it's just life. You know what I mean? And who wants to be here? Life is already hard enough. Okay? You have to make sure that you're happy in here. Up here. Everything is mental. Okay? Make sure you're happy up here. Now, I'm not even where I want to be within my body goals. But baby, like I said, in my mind, I think I'm a diamond. I think I am just everything, and nobody ever can tell me different. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like fall so deeply in love with yourself. You know, don't be afraid to put you first. Don't be afraid to tell people no. Always do what is best for you. You know what I mean? And I feel like it happens a lot also in a job realm because you want to grow within your company. You want to work in a peaceful environment. But I feel like sometimes when you're afraid to say no, it can turn toxic quick, you know? And when you're afraid to say no, you can also get caught up in like gossip at work and just kind of just falling into like the toxic work environment when you're afraid to say no. And I've been guilty of it. And, you know, that's ultimately how I left my job. I let other people convince me that it was toxic when really I had a great job. And everybody else was quitting and they were like, oh, you're gonna quit. And I was too afraid to be like, no, I like it here, you know, even though I done talked all that mess and blah, 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 like, I still wanted to stay, but I ended up leaving because it was toxic, but it was like, more so the people who I was around that were toxic, you know what I mean? And I would just, I don't know, I guess you can call it people pleasing, I don't know, but you know what I mean? I feel like don't be afraid to tell your boss no. And one thing also that you have to like think in your mind that this is just a job. Everything will work out. If you're unhappy in your job and you want to leave, please leave. And I know bills have to be paid or blah, 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 but I promise you things will work out. Don't be afraid to tell your boss no. Don't be afraid to tell people, oh, my kid got sick, or, you know, that's why I'm late. Or don't be afraid to take that extra coffee, that extra time for a coffee, even if you're running late. That might be bad advice because you should be on time, especially for your work. You know what I mean? But like, let me tell you something. I have horrible time management. I'm late every single day. But if you think I ain't better stop at McDonald's to give me that caramel frappe every morning, you tripping. Because I do it every day. I'm late every day to work. But I work hard as fuck, okay? I get shit done. And I'm a beast at my job. And I work for myself, okay? Yes. You know, and that's something I've been manifesting for such a long time, but I finally work for myself and only me. And, you know, but the services that I provide and the people that I provide them for are so happy and so happy with my services that they don't even notice that I'm late every day. I mean, I'm pretty sure they know I'm late every day. They do know. But it's just like, I'm just so bomb at what I do, and my energy, my confidence, and you know, just me being me, just being so in love with myself. I feel like it radiates to other people where it's just like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, make you happy. But if you gotta be on time, like really, really for something important, please do. Please be on time. You know, that might not be the best advice I done gave you, but do what makes you happy. And if go getting that coffee, even though you late, makes you happy, do it. You know what I mean? And let me tell you how my mind used to work. I love this complicated drink from Dunkin' Donuts, okay? It's a strawberry refresher with oat milk, 2 creams, and cold foam. Now, every time I say this at the drive-thru, everybody act like, what's she talking about? Don't know what's going on. And before me, I would have been like, oh no, just forget about it. You know, don't worry about it. Just give me a regular strawberry refresher. Now, I'm gonna tell you how to make it, and we're gonna get this right. You know what I mean? But I used to be so afraid of inconveniencing somebody else, or, you know, making them feel like, ugh, to the point where I would just be like, no, you know, and it ended up in me not getting what I wanted. But now we ain't doing that anymore. I said I want this, and that's what's gonna happen. You just have to be that. You know what I mean? This is your world. This is your life, and that's how you have to think of it. But always be kind. I don't like no rude person. Just, oh, this is just how it is. I don't care. I have to. No. I'm very kind, but I always do what I want to do and what's gonna make me happy. You know what I mean? I don't like all that cocky, mean girl stuff. I don't do that. Okay? I'm very kind. So, always do what makes you happy. Okay? This is your life. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to break up with somebody. Don't be afraid to break up with a friend. Now, I have a friend, we've been friends for years, and she's very dominant, and I'm very dominant. And I used to give in to her all the time because I didn't want her to be upset with me. But now, I don't give a F. You know what I mean? Like, she would be upset, like, she still does this to this day, but that's my baby. Still does this to this day. If I don't call her or I miss her call, she is mad at me, going off, da. But if she used to miss my call, I wouldn't care. You know what I'm saying? And I would be like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, and I would always overly explain, but now I'm just like, shut up. What did you call me for? Like, what do you want? Like, I just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like I've let people walk all over me, and I'm not doing that no more. I could care less. If you want to leave my life, leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be replaced with something else, because what's not for me has to leave in order to get what is for me. There was a time where I lost my friend for like a year and a half. But after she left, I met 2 of the most amazing people in my life. And they treated me so good, probably better than even her. You know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to let things go. Don't hold on to things, and don't do things that don't make you happy or that are not beneficial to you in the end, because everybody else will do what's beneficial for them, you know, especially a man. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid. And I used to even be like one of those people who used to be like, oh, you're the only guy I'm talking to. That I was lying. I just didn't want to upset them or make them think like, oh, she's out here HOEing and stuff like that, because I was just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm dating, you know, whoever the best man is going to win. But now, yes, I am talking to other people. Yes, I am dating. I got another date on Friday. What's up? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care anymore. Like, I am going to do what's best for me all the time. And please, and I always tell anybody around me, whether it's my sisters, my husband, my friend, please do what is best for you. If that means you have to stop talking to me for a day or 2 weeks, please do that. Because I would do that if it was me, you know? And I always try to understand from somebody else's point of view. And I always try to understand like my actions towards that person, which made them, you know, separate themselves from me or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm never upset about anything really anymore. Because life is too short. You know, don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to do things that are best for you, you know? I just wanted to say that because I just see so many people afraid to hurt other people. And don't get me wrong, I'm still afraid to hurt other people, but I do it anyway because it's what's beneficial for me. And I don't say that selfishly, of course not, because I always think about somebody else. But what I'm trying to say is like, if you're not being a good friend to me, I have to let you go. If you're not being a good sister to me, I got to go. If you're not being a good man to me, you got to go. And I got to go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not willing to suffer no more. You know? That's not what God wants for me. So, but I hope that was helpful, you know, and I hope that this encourages you to say no. Okay? So, let's do a little prayer card. Let's do this one. The Lord is good to those, the Lord is good to those whose hope is in him. Alrighty, my loves, God bless you. I hope to see you next time. Bye.